Now, going on to the political part of the podcast, you have Vivek Ramaswamy saying, quote, "It's time to stop saying people of color," unquote. And that got 5.6 million views on Twitter, or as 12 people call it, on the X, which I was going to say, marketing is a precarious, difficult thing. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get used to saying, "Have you checked out X today?" I know that was Elon's name for decades, and that's the brand he wants to build. But let me know in the comments. Well, it's also another fascinating thing. If you click subscribe, it may fix my stuttering impairment or my speaking ineptitudes. I'm not positive, but I'm just saying it's worth a shot. That's all I'm saying. Now, let me know, would you ever call it X in your day-to-day conversations, or do you still call it Twitter? Which, anecdotally speaking, when I'm with my friends, I'm hanging out with folks, we still call it Twitter. But that's just me. It'd be fast to hear what you have to say. Now, the whole tweet, and this, again, now it's actually up to 7 million views, actually at the time of this recording, and Vivek says, quote, specifically, "It's time to stop saying people of color. It's meaningless to classify people by skin color. It needlessly pits whites against non-whites. In the USA, we are all Americans, period," unquote. And that did get 128,000 likes, which, if you're watching the full segment of the whole show episode today, the antithesis of Bud Light, they had 11,000 views and less than 150 likes. Vivek got 128,000 likes, which is, as youth might say, going viral. Now, interestingly enough, I do absolutely see where he's coming from in terms of Americans are spending a lot of time, especially the past 10, 15 years, focusing on race and on things that I would argue people can't control and that they're born with, as opposed to their metrics as well as their merits and what they're actually doing. Interestingly enough, my family came from Cuba, and we never really talked about race. It was one of those instances where we appreciate our culture, and I love the stories, hearing about some of the good experiences we had before communism destroyed Cuba and the leaders destroyed the country ridiculously. But it's one of those instances where my parents would always measure us by what we achieved and what we could control. And again, that's anecdotal experience. That's just my family. But it's one of those instances where when we go to public school, they would especially focus on that, on things such as race. And part of me just thinks from a political perspective, it's a way that they can use to divide us. And I do think many Americans have more things in common than they think. And the pessimist in me kind of thinks politicians use divisive topics and polarizing topics to drive us apart and divide us. But that's just my 3 cents. It used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation got to be 3 cents. Though, still free to click the subscribe button down there, or there, however your phone might be oriented. Now, going to the comments section, I suspect this is a more polarizing topic for some, so I think there might be a little bit of negative, but I want to say more than 50% positive. But let's dive in and find out. Villiance D says, quote, "Remove the race checkboxes, all job and school applications," unquote. Grammar be damned, that did get 3.4 thousand likes. Let's see here. The Right Guy says, quote, "The only colors I care about are red, white, and blue," unquote, getting 1.4 thousand likes. Though I'm a little disappointed he did not have an American flag emoji in his profile name. One of the few times I would actually approve of such a thing, but nevertheless. Scrolling down here. Colin Rugg says, quote, "There's no rationalization..." Again, subscribing could cure my stuttering and my speaking ineptitudes. I'm not a doctor, but it is worth a shot. That's all I'm saying. And if you compare it to the previous, earlier episodes when I first started the show, I think you'll see a modicum of improvement. Not a crazy amount, perhaps, but a little bit. Now, specifically, going again back to Colin Rugg, he says, quote, "There is no rationalizing with people who think, quote, colored person is racist, unquote, but, quote, person of color, unquote, is not." That got 2.4 thousand likes. Someone by the name of Monetization Coach says, quote, "Agreed, no more groups, we the people," unquote, getting 306 likes. Which again is an ode to the good old founding documents of our country. All men are created equal. They didn't specify a race, religion. All men are created equal. Which I wish more Americans truly believed in, and I hope we do get back to that point. Someone by the name of Jimbo Chewdip says, quote, "People of substance, people of character, people of integrity, these are better qualifiers," unquote. I got 412 likes. Golden memes, though, they get a B minus for marketing. Or no, I'd say C minus for marketing because they responded with text and not a meme. So a little disappointed by that. But nevertheless, this alleged golden memes says, quote, Vivek dropping truth bombs at bedtime is the most American thing ever, unquote. Got 933 likes. Let's see here. Homicon, New York City says, quote, I've been asking for a while why people stopped saying, quote, colored people, unquote, only to replace them with, quote, people of color, unquote, makes zero sense. That got 530 likes. Alec Lace says, quote, stop the pronoun nonsense as well. There's only two genders, unquote. Got 669 likes. Let's see here. Way of the World says, quote, people of color is just a dumb way of saying non-whites, but race is real and it does matter, unquote. Got 530 likes and starting to see contrarian comments as some of them are not agreeing with Vivek. TJ Moe says, quote, that and there's exactly no difference between saying, quote, people of color and, quote, colored people, but people pretend the latter is the most offensive thing you could say. It's all nonsense, unquote. Got 441 likes. Someone by the name of Classical Grope says, quote, wrong. Let whites have their culture and civilization. Every other culture is taught to be tribal, unquote. That did get 248 likes. Let's see here. BIPOC, BIPOC, doing racism says, quote, yes, just say blacks, unquote, get 817 likes. Let's see here. Brooke Bits says, quote, someone buy this man a beer, unquote, getting 61 likes. Let's see here. So it does look, again, a couple of someone has a meme, or rather a quote from Morgan Freeman, and it's a picture of Morgan Freeman with a quote, and it says, oh, Ethan, the original poster on Twitter, says, quote, a good quote on the subject, a quote within a quote, a little awkward, but nevertheless, Ethan Levin responded with that picture of Morgan Freeman saying, quote, I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man, unquote. That got 101 likes. Rebecca, devoted reality believer, says, quote, it's so strange how they want to get rid of categories of men and women, yet are absolutely obsessed with upholding the increasingly diluted categories of race. Why not let race go? There's no reason to hold on to it, unquote. That got 101 likes. So interestingly enough, I thought it was going to be about 50-50. It was...
The cup is too big.
Oh, good old advertisements on the Twitter. Or, again, as 18 people call it, the X. But interestingly enough, it looks like an overwhelmingly positive response to Vivek's original post. Now, it'll be interesting to see, does this help him go up in the polls? Because, again, the polls, on average, he's still behind Nikki Haley, who's behind Ron DeSantis, who's really behind Donald Trump. And, again, there's a lot of unknown variables. People are wondering with the court systems and the states attempting to try to take Trump's name off the ballots, if he'll even be able to run, or yet alone become the Republican nominee. There's a lot of uncertainty for the Republican nominee to attempt to become a U.S. president. But again, Vivek does need to keep standing out because, again, if he just blends in and does the traditional talking points, there's not, kind of like Tim Scott, there's not enough differentiators between you and the competition. There's not enough reason to listen, yet alone vote for them. So it'll be interesting to see as Vivek starts to increase these messages, will it resonate with enough prospective voters to get him back ahead of Nikki Haley in the polls? It'll be interesting to see, but as I always say, time shall tell. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, have a happy Thanksgiving. Especially want to thank you for taking the time to tune in today. Don't forget to take the time to subscribe. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November. So if you click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, any comments are greatly appreciated because I want to make the channel better and better, and your feedback is appreciated, even if it's harsh critique, because I argue that is how you grow the most. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.